Hi friends, I'm going to make Starbucks pumpkin cream cheese muffins. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so first we're going to start with 1½ cups of flour. I use all-purpose flour. Then we have 3/4 cups of sugar. And we're going to add a teaspoon of both baking powder and baking soda. Make sure it's a teaspoon. I always mess up sometimes and then my mixtures are weird, but just make sure it's a teaspoon. So I have a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. These little jars are kind of tiny, but don't be afraid to add a little bit more. I always like a little bit more spice. You're also gonna do a teaspoon of nutmeg. I don't really like that much nutmeg, so I actually have it looks like about a little less than a teaspoon. I'm just gonna add the rest of that in there. And then you're gonna do 1/4 teaspoon of salt. My salt comes out so weird, so it's kind of broken on the end. So the amount that just fell in and plus a little bit I added is about 1/4 teaspoon. And then we're gonna whisk this all together. Guys, don't be like me. I thought this bowl would be big enough and it's not. I'm a little afraid I'm gonna spill it, but oh no, look, it's okay. All right, so I want you to see a little bit of my face still, but I was so concentrated. I have a weird concentration face. But now let's move on to the next step. So this is the fun part I like. The pumpkin puree is the best. It smells so good. We need about 1 cup. I like to just use my tablespoon, little spoon, because I don't want to get a spoon. But just make sure you scoop it nice and hefty and then pop that in your bowl. Then we're gonna add an egg. If you're like me, I really don't like messes, which doesn't make sense because I bake. But I have to accept the fact that my space is going to be messy. It's really hard. I just went over to the stove. While I was making everything on the side, I have about 1/4 cup of melted butter. Make sure it cools down a little bit before you put it in there. You don't want your ingredients to sizzle, so make sure you do that. Then we have 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Look at me shaking. I didn't have breakfast today. All right, everyone, this is the fun part. Make sure you don't splash yourself, but mix all of that together. And then we're gonna add these wet ingredients to the dry ingredients I just did before and I had on the side. Just a little bit at a time. You want to make sure everything is blended correctly. This is the good part. Also, what I was telling you, I don't have a big enough bowl. I didn't prepare that correctly. So that's another reason why I'll be mixing this slowly so I don't topple any of my ingredients over. Progress. There we go. Oh, this smells so good. Make sure you guys can see. I'm looking off to the side because I have my remote shooting. So for this part, guys, don't be afraid to get a little messy. I like to just make sure I get everything off my spoon so I can blend all that correctly. I don't know if you guys remember what I just said. I hate messes, but baking is messy, so make sure you don't have a cute outfit on when you do this. I've never understood why people were super dressed up when they're baking because your outfit's just gonna get messed up. And the one thing I really like hand mixing. I could use my mixer. I could, but I'll be honest, I hate cleaning it. So I don't. But when I really need something like heavy duty, oh my God, I will use my mixer. But it's just muffins, so muffins don't take a lot of work. They do if you use a bowl like I did. Other than that, guys, it's coming together good. Look at that. All right, friends, I hate to break it to you, but for the filling, you actually need your mixer. And look at me. Chaos baking was what to call it. But you need 4 ounces of cream cheese. Let's start with that. And it's just take your block of cream cheese, cut it right down the middle. Because a full block is 8 ounces. So, you don't need to be fancy with that. All right. Don't mind me looking off to the side because I have my recipes and I just like to make sure I am accurate. And then we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of sugar. And if you don't like that much sugar, you don't need to use that much. I like to use a little bit less. I actually don't like my desserts super sweet. I'm not a big fan of that. 1 tablespoon of milk. Whole milk is guys, listen, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. I only use almond milk or oat milk in my coffee, but when I'm baking, I feel like whole milk has a better consistency, and it just like binds my things together well. I just risk it, you know. I don't do well with dairy, but sometimes you just gotta do what you need to do for the love of desserts. And then 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Put that in there. I use Magnolia Star. I use McCormick sometimes too. I don't have a preference of like specific ingredients I like. I'm not that super fancy. And then a little hand mixer. My husband actually found this for me. It's great. Before I do that, there is a step. And if you guys don't want to do this, you don't have to. I tested this a few times, so you can use a tablespoon of butter or flour. You don't need to, but it makes the frosting a little bit easier to bake with. I don't know. You know what, guys? I don't know. I like it. If you don't like it, remove the flour. Let's mix this together. I have this face on because I'm afraid it's gonna splash me. It's not though, but I'm so scared. I used to be very anti hand mixer. I'm like, no, I don't need a hand mixer. I'm just gonna use my mixer. This is so convenient. Just do that to make sure it's all smooth, kind of whipped like. Okay, I like that. All right. Piping. So if you don't have piping bags at home, use a Ziploc, and then you can just fill your Ziploc with the filling and then cut a little hole at the bottom. It's basically a piping bag. I like to save money, and I don't like to waste things when I don't need to waste them. You just push all this filling right down to the bottom, and then you fill up the muffin to the top with the cream cheese filling that we just made. It's very easy. I have my little cute muffin liners from Walmart. Now let's put these together. We're going to fill up our muffins. I use a really big cookie scoop. I got this from Amazon. Just make sure you do that. And then we'll go back to the ones, I got a little something in that we just filled, just like top it off. I want to make sure the muffins rise. So make sure you hold your muffin liners down when you do this, because sometimes they pop out. But I've only learned this just because of so many muffins I've made and how annoying it can be. Okay. Just to top it off also, I just use a little spoon on the side. And then after we do this, I'm gonna make sure to smooth it out. I wanna make sure they bake the same. So this batter is about just enough for 6 muffins. If you're doing like the double scoops like me, or just filling them to the top, I'm pretty sure you can extend this to maybe 8, maybe 12, depends how you want your muffins to look, you know? And we go like this. I use my fingers, so you're baking your stuff yourself. If it's for you, okay, use your fingers, but if you're giving it to people, put some gloves on. Be sanitary. No one wants your finger muffins. You're gonna have your little piping bag, but we're gonna try to get inside this muffin as much as we can. Just kind of press to the bottom, and let's fill it up with cream cheese. It might be a little difficult because it's a mess. Muffin batter is a mess, but I don't know if you guys can see. I tried my best. It worked. It's all the way at the bottom. Yay! I did it. See? I'm trying to see if you guys can see. I'll hold it up more. But just keep pressing down, and don't be afraid if it like gets on the little bag thingy. Just make sure you get it in there. End result, I know, some people want it to look perfect. I just want it to be delicious. I'm not one of those bakers. It's like, I need everything to look cohesive. It needs to be beautiful and all that. Like, baking should be fun. You shouldn't be in there stressing and screaming at your stove. Like, let's just eat and like, it's a vibe. Also, maybe it would be less messy if I used a correct piping bag, but I don't have time for that. I don't want to do that. I want to eat these right away. Oh, these are looking so good. You just get so excited when you bake things and it comes out like well. I do. I get so happy. I like doing this. It's fun. I hope you guys are enjoying this video. I'm enjoying making it. I'm enjoying making food. That one's crazy. I got a little bit of filling left, so if you have extra like muffin batter in there, you can save it for the rest. But all right, look it, guys, I did it. Look at this, how it should look. Results. Look how good those look. I told you it doesn't need to be perfect, because either way when you eat these muffins it's going to be a mess. But the piping routine worked. Even though I use a Ziploc, it looks pretty great. Also, make sure when they're done baking, just do the toothpick test and just poke a little hole, see if any batter comes out. And if it does, just cook it for an additional like 2 to 3 minutes. But other than that, they look great.